Alright, now go ahead, bro. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, bro.
Yo!
Hey. Yeah, I don't want to play. That's your song? You smiling so hard. You think you can let me too? Be careful now.
Oh, what I do?
Oh, shit! Oh! Hold on, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out, all the way, all the way, all the way.
We got a white Ford. I need EMS to Canal and Bourbon now. Canal and Bourbon now, possible 20F.
I need somebody to speak to dispatch. What's going on in Canal and Bourbon? I got it. What's going on in Canal and Bourbon? What's going on in Canal and Bourbon? Somebody please advise dispatch. What's going on in Canal and Bourbon?
EMS to Bourbon and Iberville. Bourbon and Iberville. Y'all, we're trying to get in. We have dozens of people that got hit by this car.
If we have a medical pack, bring a medical pack.
I got at least maybe 12 to 15 people hit by this vehicle. I'm in the 200 block of Bourbon. 880 the headquarters. Bourbon Street is shut down from the 100 to at least the 500 block of Bourbon. All officers on Bourbon Street, stop! Headquarters, we need some EMS in here. Do we have them in route? 9530, we need EMS in here on the code 3.
Clear all my units that are code 1. Clear everyone, start them to that location. Spare anyone on that 30 if possible.
Bourbon and Iberville, I have at least 6 casualties. I have an officer doing chest compressions on one. I have another white male that's got agonal breathing in the 200 block. Multiple casualties that may be going 10-7.
This bitch dead, fam. This bitch dead. The truck came and hit everybody, fam. They had shit out the laws out here. The truck. There's dead bodies everywhere, fam. This nigga ran over these people and killed these people, fam. Dead bodies everywhere. Oh. That's crazy. The brain splatter, fam. What the fuck?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit.
Holy cow. Look at this. Patrick.
With breaking news.
And welcome back to you on this New Year's Day, this Wednesday morning. It is 6:31, and we are following some horrific news out of the city of New Orleans. If you're just joining us in downtown, we do know at least 10 people are dead after a vehicle plowed into a group of people on Bourbon Street. This, of course, during a very crowded time. More than 24 people injured so far, taken to the hospital.
Good morning to you. Brandon Walker here along with Mike McDaniel as we do continue to cover the very latest here. We do have reporters stationed throughout the area as we work to get to the bottom of what's going on. We're also waiting to get a briefing from Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, who we do know is standing by, and we will take that press conference live as soon as we get it.
I am going to be asking, this is the Assistant Agent in charge. This is Agent Duncan, Special Agent Duncan, and she has taken over this case on behalf of us and the FBI. As always, we will be in partnership with all of our partners. But Agent Duncan, if you want to have a few words for everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. My name is Alethea Duncan. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for FBI New Orleans. As Chief Kirkpatrick said, we'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event. This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found, and we are working on confirming if this is a viable device or not. As Chief Kirkpatrick said, we're asking everyone to stay away from Bourbon Street, specifically from Canal Street to St. Anne. That is my ask. Once again, stay away from Bourbon Street, Canal Street, all the way to St. Anne until we can figure out what is going on. Our goal is to provide you additional information at the 11 a.m. press conference. Thank you so much, and we will be in touch.
Yes, we do have, again, the security measures that are being taken place and then conversations that are still happening. Councilman Oliver Thomas just confirmed for us that there are still conversations happening as to how to prevent this from happening moving forward. We are not going into a period where we don't have a lot of people in the city. During this season, we go from New Year's Eve, we're going straight into Mardi Gras with some of the earliest Mardi Gras balls happening this Saturday, and some of them happening at the Superdome. You go into parade season, you're going into the Super Bowl, and then you're going into the season of festivals. So, of course, this is top of mind for everyone who visits any event that contains a large amount of people, in which for us, that is half the year.
Yeah, and there's a parade scheduled for the French Quarter on Monday night with the kickoff to 12th night. So this is, like you said, not something that there will be time to heal from and to really spend time reassessing the security measures for. This has to be solved now.
Yeah, you have to act right now, and that conversation is happening within 10 minutes. At 1 p.m. we are going to get a live news conference that is from federal officials, FBI, which have taken over this investigation, including New Orleans Police, ATF, and many people who are investigating what happened here. And again, you just heard from Amelia Strahan here. We now have our first reported victim.
Yeah, we know at this time that there have been at least 10 people who have died in this incident. This is Nakira Deidro. ago, and she is the first name that we're hearing of someone who died during this horrible attack. We know at least 35 people in addition were injured.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alethea Duncan. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in Charge here in FBI New Orleans. Thank you for being here today and for your patience. First, I want to acknowledge the victims of today's horrific attack. The FBI and our partners are working diligently to investigate and find answers on behalf of the victims, the citizens and residents of Louisiana, and everyone visiting the city. I'm going to provide you some facts and information about what we do know. I know that all of you will have questions, and we will try to provide some answers, but this is an ongoing investigation that's rapidly evolving. So there are some questions I will be unable to answer at this time. The FBI is the lead investigative agency, and we're investigating this as an attack of terrorism along with our partners. Today at approximately 3:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, an individual drove a pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, killing at least 10 individuals and injuring dozens more. After hitting the crowd, he exited the vehicle and fired upon local law enforcement. Law enforcement returned fire and the subject was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 law enforcement officers were injured and transported to local hospitals. The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Samsoud Dim Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject came in possession of this vehicle. An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations. Weapons and potential improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were located in the subject's vehicle. Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter. As of now, 2 IEDs have been found and rendered safe. The FBI Special Agent bomb technicians, as well as our local law enforcement partners, have been working to determine if any of these devices are viable, and they will work to render those devices safe. The FBI, we are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism. We're aggressively running down all of the leads to identify the possible subject's associates. We're working to ensure that there is no further threat. We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates. That's why we need the public's help. We are asking if anybody has any interactions with Samsoud Dim Jabbar in the last 72 hours that you contact us.
First of all, my sympathies and my condolences go to the families of those who were lost and injured in this. My kudos goes to the police officers who went after this dirtbag who was driving the truck. And I'm talking about New Orleans. But I have to tell you, the press conference that I watched yesterday, it was the first thing that I watched, was a disaster. I've never seen anything as bad as this in 32 years in law enforcement. Number one, no one was in charge. Everyone was competing to talk. Everyone was talking too long, and they gave too many answers. They were not on top of their game. The mayor said they had a plan, and the terrorists defeated it. Ann Kirkpatrick, is the superintendent of police, says, we've proved time and time again we can handle large crowds. And the FBI, the person who spoke for the FBI, said, we're taking the lead, and this was not a terrorist event. Wait a minute, you're at the FBI. First of all, you never talk. And why not say we haven't ruled it in or out yet? You're not even 24 hours out. And this was all about the competition between the law enforcement agencies. They couldn't wait to talk. And look, I was a chief law enforcement officer in a county of 1 million people for many, many years. And the first thing you do is you tell everyone who's in charge, who's going to be speaking. Now, this Kirkpatrick, she's doing interviews over here. They're doing interviews over there. They're contradicting each other. This was all ego at play. They were not prepared. And this thing about the bollards, which makes me crazy. They said, look, everybody is safe. We're looking for the bollards for the Super Bowl. Well, why not New Year's Eve? If there's ever a city in this country you want to get drunk in and get crazy, it's New Orleans. What about the Mardi Gras that's coming up? What about the Super Bowl that's coming up? Now, this is what I love. They say about the bollards, they say, well, the truth is, the bollards were supposed to be coming in before the Super Bowl. So what I want to know is why before the Super Bowl? I want to know, and then they added a qualifier. Well, way before the Super Bowl. They were up there patting each other on the back and recognizing that they lost the support of the people in this country.
Yeah.
And they said about the bollards, and the last thing I want to say, how do you absolve yourselves of liability by saying the bollards weren't up yet? And how were you protecting people when there were no bollards? And what kind of contract was it? Was it a no-bid contract? Remember, this is New Orleans. What was the date of the completion of that contract? What date was it required by? Was time of the essence a condition of that contract? I want a prosecutor to be on that contract. And I want to know why they were so lax. And they should be embarrassed as opposed to saying we did a great job.
Yes.
Because you didn't.
Sudden terror on Bourbon Street.
There were just bodies and the screams. You cannot think about, unhear that. It was chaos and very, very scary.
Everything in the car is hitting, it's getting thrown.
The vehicle ran through a crowd of people. There's multiple injuries, multiple casualties. They need to Canal and Bourbon.
Just hours after the clock struck midnight, the driver in a pickup truck went around barricades, according to police, killing those celebrating New Year's Eve along the iconic street. At least 15 people were killed, dozens others injured.
This is not just an act of terrorism. This is evil.
The suspect, identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old man from Texas who previously served in the U.S. military. He was driving a privately rented pickup truck from Turo, an Airbnb-type rental site for cars.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
Once the vehicle stopped, the driver reportedly opened fire on responding police officers.
Law enforcement returned fire, and the subject was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 law enforcement officers were injured and transported to local hospitals.
Witnesses are asking questions about why the city's steel mechanical barricades weren't up prior to the attack.
There was police there at the entrance, a lot of police there, but the metal barricades were not up.
Bollards were not up because they are near completion.
The FBI, which has taken over the investigation, does not believe the suspect acted alone.
We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
And the Sugar Bowl for college football, scheduled to be held in New Orleans this evening, has been postponed.
All agree that it's in the best interest of everybody and public safety that we postpone the game for 24 hours.
My biggest question about the terror attack in New Orleans is how the FBI comes out and says it's not a terror attack to start the investigation. Of course it's a terror attack. A 5-year-old can see that. There's an ISIS flag flying from the back of this pickup truck. What's the death toll now? 15? Another 3 dozen hospitalized? Of course it's a terrorist attack. We need to defund the FBI. Start clean. Kash Patel, welcome to 2025. A lot of work to do, my friend. Let's get to it.
And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Christopher Rea, who is the Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI's Counter Terrorism Division. Chris?
Thank you, Governor Landry. Good morning. I am FBI Deputy Assistant Director Christopher Rea. I'm from our Counterterrorism Division at headquarters. I'm also joined by Assistant Special Agent in Charge Alethea Duncan from our New Orleans office, who you heard from yesterday. I'm here to discuss not only the latest investigative information we have here in New Orleans, but I'll also let you know about other investigative activities outside of the state. I first, and most importantly, want to send our deepest condolences to the victims of this horrific attack and their loved ones. 14 innocent victims were killed in this senseless attack, and at least 35 are injured. We cannot ease the grief people in this community and across the nation are feeling at this time, but rest assured, we stand with you and in support of you. All the resources, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later, all the resources of the FBI are being focused on tracking down every piece of evidence, every lead, every interview, every potential lead we've got. While I won't be able to answer all your questions today, my goal is to be as forthcoming as possible with you on what we've uncovered so far. First and foremost, let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act.
10-year-old Nakaira Cheyenne Dito was from Mississippi. She was there with her cousin and a friend. Joining me now is her friend, Zion Parsons, who witnessed the terror attack. Zion, thank you for being here, and I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend. What do you remember about what happened?
The attack in itself was just horrific, man. Like, truly straight out of a movie, unlike anything I've seen. Giant Ford F-150 comes barreling down the road, and
you saw it heading toward you.
Yeah, straight. I think it came off of Canal.
Yeah.
It was where Bourbon and Canal meet, and just came barreling and hitting everybody.
And did you? What happened when it came close to you?
We were actually a little bit late. I just saw CCTV footage of the accident, and when I saw it, I saw that Nakaira, my friend, happened to be looking at her cell phone when it all happened, and we were already running a lot slower than a lot of other people, so it barely missed me and her friend, and it happened to get her.
What was Nakaira like?
Nakaira was just the most amazing person, man. Like,
I love how your face lights up when you think of her.
Everybody loved her. She was just so bubbly, so eccentric, just a light to be around. And no matter, if you were sad, she would cheer you up. No matter what. She would make that her main goal. And she was just amazing, man.
How did you guys meet?
We met at like a pool party. Through a different friend of mine, Krishan Thomas. He ended up introducing us, and I've known her for about a year now, but we didn't start getting close till a few months ago. So started hanging out a few months ago, and I saw why everybody wanted to be around her, man. She's just so amazing.
Wow.
Truly.
Does it feel, I mean, it's just got to be surreal for you. I mean, this has all happened so fast.
Yeah, you know, it was only yesterday, but it feels like it's been happening for so long. I barely slept. It's hard to eat. I can't eat. I just ate my first little piece of sandwich the other day, and it just makes my stomach so upset.
Yeah.
You know, being here is actually quite unsettling. But I know I got to get her story out, man. People have to know what type of person she was, man.
Yeah. Well, Zion, I wish you the best. I'm so sorry for your loss.
No problem at all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Ed Lavandera is in Houston with more on the suspect's ties to the state. What are you learning, Ed?
Hi, Pamela. Well, for several hours this afternoon, a number of law enforcement authorities have been here in this far North Houston neighborhood that has been cordoned off. And according to local officials and FBI officials, they have been searching a home that address is connected to this suspect that carried out the terror attack in New Orleans. FBI officials also confirming that this search is related to that investigation. And as you mentioned, we are learning more about this suspect, who in several various sources that we've been able to comb throughout the day, the suspect had been battling some financial troubles, worked in real estate and information technologies systems, and studied that as well. But in court documents we've been able to reveal, he talked about the financial struggles that he had been going through in recent years. From 2019 to 2023, he had a real estate license here in Texas, but in court documents connected to he was sued by the mother of two of his children back in 2012 over child support payments. And in some of those documents, we've learned that in recent years he talked about being carrying debt of nearly $30,000, owing credit card debt, and also struggling to make payments on his home. We've also come across a YouTube video that was posted back in 2020 about the time that he was getting into real estate here in Texas. The video is described as a personal introduction, and this is what he said on that video.
So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist.
And Pamela, you know, this is back here in this North Houston neighborhood where officials here have been very tight-lipped throughout the day, not saying much exactly as to what has been happening here at this search, but that this search continues and it's been going on for several.
Adam, do you acknowledge that you let the victims down by not having an appropriate security plan?
Oh, that's not the correct. That's not correct. We would disagree with that. We had
it was
a security
plan that allowed an attacker to drive into a crowd.
And I take exception to that, and I do not agree with that.
That has to be a failure.
We do know that people have lost their lives. But if you're experienced with terrorism, you would not be asking that question.
Well, with respect, experience of terrorism surely requires appropriate security protection.
These are more than high school graduation pictures.
She had a whole life ahead of her.
But for Nakira Dito's great aunt, Amariah Israel, who lives in Gary, Indiana,
It's just everything is lost right now.
photos of her niece now represent a promising future ripped away.
She was going to start nursing school because her mom is a nurse to push the family tradition on.
That tradition now broken after the attack in New Orleans just hours into the new year. Israel says the 18-year-old Mississippi native who graduated high school last May had gone to New Orleans with friends to celebrate New Year's Eve against her mother's wishes.
It hurts me that she went.
And what was supposed to be a celebratory night less than 2 weeks before the teen began nursing school ended in tragedy. Dito became one of 14 people killed when police say a man plowed a speeding truck through crowds gathered on Bourbon Street.
Can you imagine? You have a job, you're an honor roll student, you kept your grades up, you're up for the challenge, but you can't beat this truck. You can't beat this truck that's coming at you. What is that? Who does that?
Dito was supposed to start her nursing program at Blue Cliff College in Mississippi on January 13th. Her family is now planning her funeral. Rob.
Now, I'd like to turn it over to SAC Lionel Murthel, who's going to go into more specifics of the investigation. Lionel.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Lionel Murthel. I'm the Special Agent in charge of FBI New Orleans. I want to thank you and the hundreds of other FBI personnel and our partners with our local, state, and federal agencies who've been working tirelessly beside us. FBI New Orleans deeply mourns the loss of those who tragically lost their lives and extend our heartfelt prayers to those who were injured and offer our unwavering support to those who endured the traumatic experience of witnessing such a devastating act of terror.
Keep learning more about the history and the possible motives for U.S. Army veteran Shamsuddin Jabbar to launch such a horrific terrorist attack in the name of the Islamic State.
WWL Chief Investigative Reporter David Hammer got the first interviews with some of Jabbar's former Army comrades Wednesday.
And today he has more details of how Jabbar might have become radicalized.
Just hours after the attack on Wednesday, I spoke with Trevor Neal, who trained with Shamsuddin Jabbar in the Army Signal Corps back in 2010. Thursday, he made a TikTok video to share his feelings after learning his friend was the suspect in the Bourbon Street terror attack.
So for 28 weeks in Fort Gordon, Sham was my friend. There was nothing out of the ordinary from him. You know, he was a cool, chill guy.
Peter Heap was another soldier in that same IT training class. He told me Jabbar started writing pro-Islamic posts on Facebook.
I think sometime between when I knew him and now, he got radicalized.
Now we're learning about Jabbar's mounting personal and financial difficulties that may have pushed him to the breaking point. Records from Texas and Georgia show Jabbar was divorced 3 times, in 2012, in 2016, and the last time in 2020. That last case was very contentious. Financial records from 2022 show Jabbar with mounting debts, and his ex-wife alleged he committed fraud in payments to her and their child. Jabbar told his ex-wife's attorney he was facing foreclosure. Then, a year and a half ago, Jabbar moved into this compound in Houston, in a tight-knit community of devout Muslims. But neighbors said he did not attend the nearby mosque. Thursday morning, a neighbor who did not want to be shown on camera talked to our sister station, KHOU.
When he comes in, he was Muslim. As a Muslim, I didn't know what happened to him before. I didn't know anything before. What his background was. I was in the military. I learned anything just everybody else learning as well.
The FBI Deputy Assistant Director Christopher Reyes says that sometime before this summer, Jabbar started professing allegiance to the Islamic State terror group ISIS, and they want to know why.
That's the stuff in the coming days as far as that path to radicalization that we're really going to be digging into and making a priority.
Reyes said Jabbar rented the white pickup truck used in the attack, drove it from Houston to New Orleans on New Year's Eve, and posted 5 videos between 1:29 and 3:02 in the morning.
In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers.
At 3:15 a.m., Jabbar drove the truck with an ISIS flag mounted on the hitch and plowed through the Bourbon Street crowd, killing 14 and injuring about 3 dozen more. And when he exchanged gunfire with police, Jabbar was the 15th to die. It was an inexplicable turn for Jabbar's former Army comrades.
Someone you cared about just takes a left turn like that.
David Hammer, WWL, Louisiana.
Another piece of the puzzle here. When Jabbar was a college student in 2015, he was featured in the Georgia State University newspaper. He talked about his struggles adapting to civilian life and dealing with financial paperwork for the GI Bill.
I'm sorry, but the way people keep victim blaming Nakira Cheyenne from the New Orleans attack really makes me sick to my stomach. So many girls in the world have moments. Shoot, teenagers, people period, have moments where people say don't do this and they go do it. So the fact that y'all are sitting on here being so insensitive, talking about, oh, her mom told her not to go and she went. How many people parents told them not to do stuff and they still went to do what they wanted to do? She didn't lose her life because of not listening to her mom. She lost her life because some lunatic wanted to go around and kill people on New Year's. That's why she lost her life. Condolences to her parents, condolences to her family, and I hate that she had to lose her life that way. Like, it really was messed up. This girl was about to go to nursing school and everything. All she wanted to do was go and have fun. And then lost her life from trying to have fun. Something everybody wants to do.
Get right to our chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst, John Miller. He's getting some new reporting for us. John, what are you learning?
Well, Wolf, what we've been trying to do is develop a richer picture of who is the man behind this carnage in New Orleans. What do we know about him? And what can that tell us about motive? And what we've learned from multiple sources is that Mr. Jabbar apparently made, according to authorities, a series of voice recordings on video as he drove, they believe, from Texas to Louisiana to partake in these attacks, allegedly. The recordings talk about the turmoil in his family, the long-fought, bitter divorce he was going through. He discusses, according to officials briefed on the videos, where it appears they're made while he's driving, but it's in the dark, so you can't really see him on these videos, recorded apparently on his phone. But he talks about the idea of getting his family together for a celebration, which would have been a ruse so that he could kill all of them, but that over time, after having a series of dreams about joining ISIS, that he changed his plan to carry out this attack in New Orleans to create mass casualties in the name of ISIS. So what we're starting to see is an individual who was experiencing turmoil and stressors in life, who was going to act out in some kind of violent way, and at least according to what they believe are his own words, decided to do this as an alternative to killing his family. In the recordings, he also has a last will and testament where he divides up what little money he has left after all the financial losses and setbacks he had suffered to family members. So they're beginning to get a picture of what was going on, and it seems to be what was going on in the background of this individual's life that was as much of a driver as any commitment to terrorism.
Picture flawless, neck froze, wrist froze, better go retarded. Don't fuck these hoes, only go with shorty. Smoke another 23, I'm chilling with my guardians. Run around the galaxy, they're jealous of my cardigan. No, come and try me, yeah, we solving shit. Put the drink up in his mouth, he acting like he having sex. Make a bitch up in the head, you know I made him reminisce. Smoke another devil food and put you up in the abyss. And I'm not gonna lie, rapping on the speed is pretty sick, it's like I'm finna die. Shout out to my niggas and KM, they like my family ties. And if you talking down the chopper, taking up both of your eyes, yeah. While I'm sipping on the willy one in the drop top of the spot under the spotlight. And she missing me told the same, next time it's on site. Rapping took me days to attain and now they wanna pipe, yeah. And I'm chilling with the boys now, 12 AM we kick it back and take a trip to A-Town. Driving in the range, I'll pick it straight then back to K-Town. Shoot the towers all in one, then gun the fucking pussy down. I've been in trouble ever since I set the fucking bags down. Yeah, since I set the fucking bags down. Since I set the fucking bags down. Hey, look, listen, hey. 400 on the dash, bitch, I'm running it up. And you a fan, I'll catch you like a D, I'm counting the bucks. Everybody wanna talk and groupies all on my nuts. I started rapping like today, man, I just do it for fun. Brody got the walkie-walkie, know I break double.
What's going on, guys? So this is going to be my first official production for the year of 2025. That was not a carryover from last year, 2024. As many of you are aware, I unfortunately had to finish and upload 2 video projects that I had intended as end of the year productions for last year. I had to upload them the first week of January because of some technical difficulties and setbacks. But now we are here and we are ready to go into the year 2025. As usual with these video productions, I like to give you some updates on things that are to come or official announcements before I get to the topic at hand. In this case, not going to spend too much time, just 2 kind of quick updates. One of them is as far as my Patreon goes. For those of you who are still paid Patreon members, this year I will be utilizing the time I have to, for the first time in like 3 years, I believe, actually put content up on Patreon. This is something that I've been thinking about for quite some time. What I plan on doing is taking all of my old stuff, including my classics, my mockumentaries, my docu-commentaries, and just generalized videos that were taken off of, that I have remaining on my hard drive, that were taken off of BitChute and the old FS Avenger website, and relinking them, at least. I don't know if I'll be able to upload them on Patreon, but relinking them to my Patreon account and hopefully having enough of that content to release 4 posts per month at a time. That should create quite a bit of content for new post releases on Patreon. And I don't think it's such a bad idea, since I've had quite a few people ask me about old classic commentaries that I've done in the past over the years. So once that is up, you will definitely be hearing about it. I might even make a pre-advertisement in my videos for it, just reminding people that if they want to see some of my older content, it will be on Patreon. And also, there may be cases where I will do pre-releases of major projects that spend a lot of time, money, and effort to do, where people get a chance to view my content before the official premiere on YouTube or another platform, like say maybe a week before. You can pay to see it if you want. I put a lot of work, put a lot of heavy work in my videos. I'm not a basic uploader, although I am thinking of transitioning to doing more screen recording this year than video production, because it just consumes so much fucking time, as I've told you guys about. But I'll probably do a mixture and a combination of both. We'll just see. I might also host a voting poll about it, to see if you guys are okay with me doing more screen recorded videos, just so I can pump out more content, because there's so many subjects that I want to talk about, but I just have to let pass, because I don't have time for fancy long drawn out intros where I have to do a lot of heavy editing. So anyway, that's one of the things coming down the pipe. Other thing is, this isn't really coming down the pipe. This is an official announcement. Now, I don't know everybody that has friended me on Facebook, and I might start back also producing content on Facebook, but I want to be very clear here, okay? I know there's quite a few new faces that have listened to my content over the years, especially over the course of the last year, when I had my long downtime and break from YouTube, as many of you are aware. And I don't know what people's motivations were for befriending me, but I want to be very clear here, because I know that there are a lot of people with simp mentality that listen to me both on YouTube and have friended me on some of my social media accounts. If you are a simp that produces large amounts of simp related content, where all you talk about basically is bitches and what females are doing, what they're not doing, celebrity gossip, if it is consistent, meaning every day that I'm going to my Facebook timeline and I'm seeing this shit that I didn't ask to see, but Facebook just keeps popping it up based on who's in my timeline, I will unfriend you. If you try to friend me again and you continue posting that simp ass content, I will block you. I've already blocked one person, and I've unfriended like half a dozen people over the course of the last 4 months. Okay, I don't want to have to keep doing this, but I will. Okay, it's not, because the thing is, it's not like I'm just going around to people on my friends list and clicking on it and seeing, what they're posting at a timeline. Unfortunately, Fuckbook keeps, bringing this shit up as soon as I sign in or open my Facebook app. At the top of my shit, I'm seeing, this bullshit that people are posting about, some gossip of some fucking whore, or, why white women are better to date than black women, or, what some fucking ghetto heifer is saying or doing that's gone viral. Look, we all know the problems, as I said before in one of my last videos. We have talked about the problem, but this should not be a consistent thing to the point where it's so heavy on your fucking mind where that's all you're fucking talking about. Okay? You should be discussing a combination of different things. If all I'm seeing every time I see your fucking name pop up on my timeline is something about a bitch, I will unfriend you. Okay? If I see it again and you try to friend me again, I will block you. Okay? So that just want to make sure that that's out of the way and that's well understood. Okay? No more simping. Okay? Additionally, people who are simps that listen to my content, I appreciate the support of anyone, but if you're a simp, okay, and you know you're still lapping up after bitches, dating bitches, running after bitches, spending all your money on bitches, keep your opinions to a minimum on my channel, okay? I don't want to see simp comments in my section, okay? This is not what I advertise. I advertise for men to find alternative solutions to traditionalist ways of thinking and living, including and especially when it comes to what they do to, entertain themselves, I guess you could say, with regards to members of the opposite sex. Okay? This is a Marlboro Man channel where I teach Marlboro Man, a sub-form of what people call MGTOW mentality channel. Okay? It's not a channel for simps. Can you say that a woman looks good, that, she's attractive? Yes. But I don't want to see an overload of fucking simp ass comments. Keep that shit to yourself. Okay? Just so long as we're clear about that. Now, to the topic at hand. So, as many of you are well aware at this point, it's been almost 2 weeks removed from so-called New Year's Day. There was what the government at least classifies as a terrorist attack and critical incident in New Orleans, where this deranged individual drove his pickup truck from Canal Street in downtown New Orleans onto Bourbon Street, where he swerved onto a sidewalk and around a police patrol car that was being used to block off Bourbon Street, and he basically punched the accelerator to try and mow down as many people along Bourbon Street as he possibly could. Now, I don't think there's anyone that is alive in this hemisphere that is not fully aware that Bourbon Street is symbolic and perhaps one of the most popular, not only streets, but neighborhoods in the United States, for the fact that it is one of the primary hosts of the famed Mardi Gras celebrations. And it's basically like the Strip in Las Vegas, or Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, or the Gold Coast in Chicago, or for that matter, Michigan Avenue in Chicago. It's just one of those places that our society idolizes, just like they idolize certain human beings like Michael Jackson or Beyonce. Bourbon Street is just one of those notable places. Now, over the years, counterintelligence officials at the federal and state level and local law enforcement have been warning for years. They've been warning for years that Bourbon Street and, in general, New Orleans could be a target for a low-level terrorist attack of this nature. And it finally happened 3 hours into the new year. This attack occurred at 3:15 a.m., approximately 3 hours and 15 minutes after the stroke of midnight. And unfortunately, there were 14 people who lost their lives, and there were like 35 people who were injured, including some critically. The gunman, he appeared to crash into some type of piece of construction equipment that I don't know if it was actually involved in a construction project on Bourbon Street, or if it was intentionally placed there as part of their, as we now know, weak plan to secure Bourbon Street from this very kind of attack. But he crashed, assumably at full speed, into this this vehicle construction equipment obstacle. His airbags went off inside the Ford F-150 that he was driving, which from my understanding is an electrically powered pickup truck. And within a few seconds, he got out with an assault weapon. From everything that I can ascertain, it was actually an assault shotgun, kind of like my AR-12S. And he exchanged gunfire at very close range with officers who ran up to the pickup to check on his welfare, assuming that it may have been a drunk driver. He was able to wound 2 of them, and they returned fire and killed him. The shooter has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar of Houston, Texas. By his own admission, he was born in Beaumont, Texas. Not sure where that is. I'm assuming it's a suburb of Houston, but don't quote me. Sorry, people from that part of Texas. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But he wound up taking 14 lives, and in exchange, he himself lost his life. Now, the reason why I'm choosing to focus on this incident is not necessarily because it's newsworthy, but because there are quite a few issues that really that I gathered from this that I feel are very relevant to many of the issues that I discuss here on the Brian Too Bad TV Salon show, and have discussed over the course of the last several years. Okay, and we're going to get into all of that tonight. Now, one of the 4 main subjects that I feel are relevant to covering this topic, and I'm not really necessarily doing this in any relevance of order of importance, but one of the first things that popped up in this shortly after this attack was the confirmation of what social media at least is saying was the first victim of this attack, this young 18-year-old Thotbot out of Gulfport, Mississippi, by the name of Nikeria Didau, or Nikeria Dido. Last name spelled Dedeaux. I know a lot of those people down in that part of Louisiana and Mississippi. They have Cajun-like last names with a silent X at the end, and she was one of them. So apparently there are some pretty graphic videos that show this young lady as she was standing with a group of friends, and her face was buried in her phone. They're standing on Bourbon Street. She's looking down at her phone. I'm sure you've all seen this. And, she's just completely oblivious to reality, not really paying attention to anything. And this white truck driven by the terrorist comes barreling down on her and her friends. Her friends, at the very last split second, like a lot of people, they manage to move out of the way. And she goes to turn and dart away from, I guess, the truck, because she never looked up. She, from what I could see, unless, her eyes maybe caught it out of her peripheral vision, maybe she saw the headlights. She never even looked up. She literally never saw what hit her from what I could see. But I guess she was reacting to her friends running, and she went to turn and run in the direction the truck was going instead of move to the side like all of the smart people, or the people who saw the truck at least, and she just got fucking clobbered. She got creamed. I mean, it, when you see enough graphic stuff on the internet, it takes away from the, thankfully it decent, what's the word? It takes away from the sensationalization of it, if I'm saying that right. It's hard for me to really be shocked or moved or disturbed by anything that I see on the internet, especially since I'm a frequent visitor of, platforms like Twitter that doesn't censor graphic videos and documenting reality. But to see her, on the pavement like roadkill with her leg up over her head, and her body twisted around, and, blood, and, that being a clear indicator that not only was her leg broken, her pelvis was likely broken, her spine was likely broken, and her organs probably just get fucking emulsified on impact. I mean, I guess as a human being, it is kind of sad, but then 13 other people died as well. There were some very graphic videos out there, including some that showed brain matter on the pavement. In the intro, I blacked a lot of that out. I blacked and blurred it out because, YouTube doesn't allow graphic material, but there were some very graphic videos of the victims. But anyway, she apparently was the first person that was killed. And the reason why her story out of the 14 victims kind of went viral was because her mother, Melissa Didal, within hours of the attack, she posted on her Facebook that she indications while paying tribute to her daughter that she had told Nigeria not to go to New Orleans or not to go out for New Year's, and that her daughter basically ignored her demands or her advice not to go out, and she snuck out of the house with a cousin and a friend and went from Gulfport to New Orleans that night, assumably sometime before the stroke of midnight, and they were out there in New Orleans for hours before this disturbingly tragic event took place. And, there was a back and forth between people on social media about, that's what the girl gets for going out and defying what her mother told her not to do. You have a lot of these idiots quoting the Bible scriptures, talking about, what God says about honor your father and your mother, that'll go well with you. Even though some people have parents that are dumber and more immature than they are, a lot of these people don't come from two-parent homes, and it looks like Nigeria was one of them. Sometimes people do actually follow in their parents' footsteps, and they turn out to be total whack jobs. Sometimes, like in, for example, Adolf Hitler or the Green River Killers case, their negative experiences with being abused as children by their parents sexually or violently or verbally, what became a direct result. They became a byproduct of the abuse and the bad upbringing that they had. Okay, this is not to take away from good parents. All I'm saying is, yes, the little thought should, if her mom, I'm not a proponent for partying and going to large public gatherings and all this other thoughtbot shit these bitches be doing. But yes, if her mom asked her or told her not to go, so long as she was living under the roof of her mom, she should have honored that. Okay, she didn't. She unfortunately had to happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and got the business, unfortunately. But with this whole situation with this girl, I looked up. I guess her family took down all of her social media, or maybe she had it down herself. Because most of the stuff I was able to find about her was from social media of friends and family. Her Instagrams hardly have anything on them. They're private. She had a Twitter that didn't have anything on it. Can't find a Facebook page for her. So I guess it was a rare case where her stuff was taken down very quickly. And when that happens, I'm always suspect of why it happened, because I remember about a year ago that happened as well. There was this girl, I think out of Alabama, by the name of Mia Chardell, who was a Thotbot that she had survived getting shot through the eye, and she made a video about surviving it. And she had a bit of a negative reputation, I think out of Birmingham. She was one of these chicks that, like to dress up, play doll face dress up, in skirt and heels, and take, pretty pictures on the internet. But she also had a reputation in her area for being a setup queen, which means, she would have dudes, set up for, like drug deals going bad, turn to robbery. She was using dudes, to, like play the date and then steal their money and all kinds of shit. So, she had made quite a few enemies for herself, and she survived the first assassination attempt. And then a few months later, somebody caught up with her ass in a driveway and shot her several more times. And this time she wound up dead. Well, I noticed like the first couple of days when she was killed, you could find her social media. But after a few days, all of her Facebook was taken down. Her Instagram was still up, but her Instagram didn't have nearly as much plentiful content as her Facebook did. And it was kind of frustrating for me as a researcher and a private investigator on these things, because a lot of times I want to know, especially if I'm interested in possibly doing a video on it, or I just want to know more, I want to kind of dig into the person's background to see what may have led to their demise. Once they took her Facebook down, all you could do was, look at rumors of people on social media. There were people defending her, talking about, don't talk shit about her. I think if y'all recall, I think I even did a community post about that Thotbot, and how people were talking about how she was a setup queen that, was running niggas in Birmingham, and that's why they was shooting at her. But apparently somebody didn't, they didn't want nobody to know the truth about her, so they took her Facebook down. So when I got to Nakiria's case, the girl that was killed in New Orleans, I noticed that like her social media was completely gone, completely wiped out. And I got to thinking, why is that? Why did they move so quickly to remove her shit? Because, a lot of times, in most cases, they'll leave the person's social media up in remembrance of them, so that people can come and constantly see memories of them. But, just the way my mind works and, what I think of a lot of these Thotbots, I'm always, suspicious when that happens. Like, were they trying to hide something? Did this person have a checkered past? Were they leading a degenerate lifestyle? Were they doing things where they were up to no good? I did notice on TikTok a guy who indirectly claimed to be her boyfriend. He posted a tribute to her, saying, that he would always love her. And, you see them laying in bed together, and he has his arms, wrapped around her. Kind of hard to tell if he's a Pookie type, but, I gotta assume that, if he's coming from the same loincloth, if they're cut from the same loincloth, it's probably not too far past what, unfortunately, a lot of black youths are out here. But I noticed it, like, one of the things I noticed is that she looked really young for him. Like, I'm assuming that they only started dating when she was 18. I don't know when she turned 18, but this nigga that she was with, he looked like he was in his early to mid 20s. Like, this looked like a grown ass nigga. Like, maybe he was younger than what he looked like, but that was kind of a clue of, like, who is this dude? Why would she be dating a dude that's significantly older than her? What drew her to him? Because I'm sure, as cute as she was, a lot of dudes was hitting on her. Why did she pick this dude? I just hope it's not one of those, thug love type situations. Not enough information to know for sure, but I mean, we know how these thoughts are at the same time. In regards to her being there, wrong place at the wrong time, defying her mother's orders, what I will say about that is, unfortunately, we have a ass backwards degenerative culture in Black society that teaches our youth that everything that is wrong about Black America is actually right. And that includes, being disrespectful to elders who are at least worthy of respect. Because I, for one, do not believe that every person that's significantly older than you is, a respectable person. But those of you who, they love and care about you, this whole I'm an independent boss bitch mentality is not only, it not only did it get Nigeria killed, because I, for one, another thing that I believe is that this is not just about, a young and dumb, 18-year-old that, just wanted to go out and have fun with her friends, like a lot of these other thoughts online are saying. I think that a lot of this is also rooted in this, I'm a boss bitch, I can do what I want, I can think what I want, I can say what I want, black girl magic, and there's not going to be any consequences for me because I'm a queen type of deal. With this girl, could it have just been, just innocent ignorance, as I would call it, maybe. But she also may have, had that whole Megan Thee Stallion, attitude that, I'm a bad bitch, I'm ratchet, what you gonna do about it? I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want type of attitude. And unfortunately, as I said before, both with their dating choices, their going out choices, and, their verbal choices, their physical action, taking action choices, a lot of these little hoes out here are winding up in body bags. I mean, I don't have to tell y'all. I mean, we see it across the board from the East Coast to the West Coast, from North to South, almost every single day. There's a story of a shooting or some car accident, usually involving DUI late at night, of some females either driving or in a car with somebody driving drunk or reckless, or she was dating some dude, or she was involved in some altercation. Just yesterday, some 43-year-old thought up in New York City got stabbed to death trying to defend her 12-year-old daughter from a bunch of hoes that were beating her ass, but they were beating a 12-year-old's ass because she was coming up trying to act tough, talking all kinds of shit, getting in people's faces, talking about what she and her mama gonna do. So the other bitches, they was like, okay, well, she want to act like a grown thug thought, then we're gonna treat her like a thug thought. Not that they weren't thug thoughts themselves, but they started whooping her little 12-year-old ass. Mama stepped in, somebody pulled a knife, there you got another body bag. Just this whole degenerative ass backwards mentality is getting a lot of black youth killed. And at times you don't care, you just feel like it's like, Denzel Washington's character said in Training Day, just let the animals wipe themselves out. But at other times you kind of internalize it and you think, it is sad, it is kind of tragic. Even I thankfully don't have kids, and thankfully don't have a daughter myself. You know, it's like you just don't understand why, you know, these people are not only teaching but coercing their children, directing their children to you know, lead better lifestyles and make better life choices. You know, I remember I think over the summer there's this little Thotbot down in Atlanta. Like, she was super popular. Her family was they had money. They were, I won't say prominent, but they didn't shy away from the fact that they had money. And they bought this girl, I think she was like 19 years old. They bought her a brand new S-Class Mercedes-Benz, like a $60,000 or $70,000 car, and she was just flaunting it all over her social media and everything. And then she made a bad choice to go to you know, one of these ghetto fests at a party in downtown Atlanta. You know, there was an altercation like usual. Shooting broke out, and she wound up catching lead along with a Pookie and wound up dead. Then the family want to get mad, and they filed a frivolous lawsuit against the city of Atlanta, claiming that the city of Atlanta should have had a larger police presence at the club because it had a history of violent activity there, and that wasn't the first shooting. And then they sued the club, saying that it should have had better security. No, you should have taught your daughter not to be a thot. You should have taught your daughter that there are more useful things. You can have fun outside of going to a club around these little stupid ass niggas and twerking and doing all this other Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B reject ass shit that y'all be doing. Okay, there are other things to life. You can find better ways to occupy your time, like studying for college, for example. Okay, be your little young stupid ass in the house. Okay, go to fucking bed. Stop trying to be a little fucking thought queen, or whatever the fuck they call it. It's not going to give you any significant status in life. It really isn't. Okay? Those bitches like Megan Thee Stallion and fucking Cardi B and Ice Spice and those other idiots, they're handpicked by the powers that be, selected to continue to deceive and lead astray the black youth of our time. Okay? They're not there because they're thought bots. Okay? They're there because somebody handpicked, somebody chose them, picked them out of a fucking jar, and decided, okay, you're gonna be the little degenerate that makes these niggas think that being a degenerate is somehow winning in life. And meanwhile, we're building our nuclear arsenal. We're cornering the oil markets. We have control over the world's banks, but don't you worry about that. You just continue being a little outspoken, fast-mouthed hoe, you know, that don't know how to control or properly manage your sex parts. So you having bastard children all over the fucking place. Yeah, you're winning. As long as you're doing that and putting weave in your head and dressing up to look cute, yeah, you're winning in life. Yeah, we got all the power, but you know, you a boss bitch. You know, you got status on social media. So as you know, as long as this ass backwards mentality occurs, what I'm trying to say is tragic stories like Nakira Didal, whether, you know, it's, you know, a case of her being in the wrong place at the wrong time, making the wrong relationship decision, or, you know, just, you know, going out and, you know, messing with somebody and being involved in an altercation that winds up getting her killed. These stories will continue to happen, and they will continue to pile up, because let's call it for what it is. Let's call it for what it is. Okay? All this shit about, you know, they should have had more stringent security measures, and we are going to get to that. Okay? But all this talk about that, listen, man, Nakira Didal or any one of the other 14 victims who died could have just as easily have been killed by a Pookie or a Boom Quiqua that got into some type of a fist fight or verbal altercation on the Bourbon Strip and pulled out a gun and just start shooting into a crowd as somebody that they was fighting or beefing with. Okay, that happens all the time as well. And she could have just caught stray bullets. Okay, didn't have to be no fucking so-called ISIS-inspired terrorist. Okay, we know this is true, and if that had happened, you know, her story. Well, you know, she's a young, you know, weave-headed thoughtbot. You know, so you know, it would have carried a little weight, but it wouldn't have her story wouldn't have blown up as big as it was. She would have just been another dead nigga added to the list of other dead niggas that get caught up in that type of situation. Okay, so again, until this ass backwards degenerative mindset of you know, party more than take care of the important things in life to advance your future, you know, and make sure that you're stable going into adulthood, you know, that everything's about, you know, the gram and building your status on social media and partying and clubbing and all this other stupid shit that these little niggas do. As long as that is the case, tragedies like this will continue to happen. Okay? The truth of the matter is, you know, yes, she should have listened to her mom, but I blame the culture even more than I blame her decision. Okay? Because maybe if the culture was better, where people were taught to respect, you know, those who, you know, have some wisdom in life and not be so concerned with, you know, trying to look good on social media, or, you know, trying to prove that they're independent bad bitch that has black girl magic, maybe things like this wouldn't happen so often. Okay? So that's one of the issues that I felt it necessary to cover. The other thing is kind of ironic because it also involves a black female, is this issue, and some of you have heard of this heavy criticism that was received shortly after the attacks in New Orleans. There was a press conference, like I think like 2 or 3 hours after this attack, and it was held by all of the local city officials, and there was some law enforcement there from both local, state, and federal level. And one of those law enforcement agents was this woman by the name of Alethea Duncan. Now, you know, Alethea Duncan unfortunately, it must have been her first time public speaking at a major event, because she made quite a few bloopers in that initial press conference. One of two that she would do before she was superseded by her superiors, where shortly after the mayor, who's also a black female, got on there and announced that New Orleans had become the victim of a terrorist attack, Alethea Duncan, she got in front of the podium and she said that it was not a terrorist event. And it sounded almost like she was tripping over her words, because at the same time that she said it was not a terrorist event, she also said that it was a matter of unexploded IEDs that were found in and around the French Quarter, and that they were, you know, blocking off the area, and they were investigating this. Now, I don't know about you, but the last time I checked, the government and a lot of people would classify any situation outside of a theater of war with IEDs as either an act of terrorism or a threat of terrorism. Okay? So, you know, I don't know if this was information that she was fed, or if it was more of a case of her just tripping over her words, because maybe she was kind of like a deer being caught in the headlights. She had never done any type of public speaking engagement, and, you know, she was just kind of nervous, tripping over her words. But when she did that, the conservative trolls, they came at her pretty rough. It's not like other government officials during these emergency press conferences haven't contradicted themselves or tripped over their words, but they were calling her a DEI hire, and they did point to some levels of unprofessionalism that I will admit, seemed a little eyebrow raising for me, especially for an agency like the FBI. She was wearing a nose piercing, a nose ring. It was a tiny little thing, but you could clearly see the silver thing sticking up on, I think, the right side of her nose as she was at the left side of her nose as she was giving the press conference. And, that kind of stirred things up on social media because, it just reinforced the claims and the belief that she was a DEI hire. That and the fact that she was a black female that gave what was clearly misinformation. And, I saw this, and in recent years, I've been a lot more cautious in co-signing what white right-wingers say about black people, although, I constantly myself, have, rants and complaints against issues in Black America. I also acknowledge that there is a lot of closet racism that's being let out of the closet. And a lot of these honkies are using this closeted, this out the closeted racism to, try to overcompensate for their own inadequacies and lack of status or success in life. It's actually always been this way, but it's, as we're, going toward the future, it's becoming almost like a rebirth of certain elements of Jim Crow. And unfortunately, I myself have experienced some of this. So I'm always cautious, to, co-sign anything they say, at least not until I do research myself. Okay. If I find that there are issues that, are clearly there and need to be addressed, then yes, on us, in a separate manner, I will address it as such. Okay. And so with regards to this lady who, she looks like she's around my age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, late 30s to early 40s. I get a sense because, a lot of people were talking about when she stepped to the podium, but I kind of rewinded the tape, so to speak, and I looked at her before she stepped out onto the podium along with the other so-called officials that were there. And one of the things that I noticed there was a couple of things that I noticed that were quite strange before she even opened her mouth. Okay. And while she was talking, one of the things I noticed was that when she stepped out, she was there with another assistant special agent in charge, doing some reasonably mid-level research on this. One of the things that I learned relatively quickly is that there are actually 3 assistant special agents in charge out of the New Orleans office. Alethea Duncan is only one of them. The guy that she was standing with in the FBI jacket was a gentleman by the name of Percy E. Giles III. He is, along with Hannah Buke, one of the other 3 ASACs out of the New Orleans field office. One of the things that I found so strange was that as they were coming out, Alethea and Percy were talking to each other privately. He grabbed her arm, almost as if to ask her a question. She turned away from the cameras as someone was at the podium speaking and went to whisper something in his ear. And I noticed that he was wearing an FBI jacket, but she was not wearing an FBI jacket. She was wearing a jacket that said BAU. And before I even get to that, I had wondered, well, this is the guy that looks more official. Why did he not step out to the podium and say something? I get a sense that, basically what happened, it was like almost like a pull a straw type of thing, or whoever gets the shortest stick, loses and has to go up to the podium. What appeared to have happened was, obviously, this attack was not expected. It's the middle of the night. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 hours past midnight. Most of these people were either, at some New Year's Eve party, or they were asleep. In Alethia's case, I'm assuming she was at some social gathering off duty, okay? And the head agent in charge of the New Orleans office was apparently out of town. His name is Lionel Murthel. He didn't show up for like 4 or 5 days later. I don't know if maybe he was on vacation in, some out of country adventure or what, but he didn't show up for days after this in a press conference that happened, nearly a week after the fact. And so it's almost like these people, they got a call on their phone, everybody get up to headquarters now. We got a situation here, anybody that's available. And unfortunately, it's in the case of the FBI, their New Orleans bureau, it was left up to the ASACs in Lionel's place, who's their boss, to take the reins of who was going to step up to the podium. And neither Percy nor Alethea looked like they wanted to really go up there. One of the things that supports my theory that she was likely at a social function, like a party or something, or maybe out on bourbon herself, is because she was wearing that nose ring. And I think, maybe, we know how black bitches are, but, fun before work. But maybe in her case, maybe it might be a little unfair to accuse her of intentionally breaking FBI rules, because they do say you're not supposed to have any facial piercings. Because I get a sense that she was just, summoned out of nowhere, and maybe she was out in her free time, having a good time or whatever on New Year's Eve, and that's why she had the piercing in, and, and she got called there and forgot to take it out. But as they were standing there discussing, it was almost like they were deciding who's going to step up to the podium. And I just noticed, why didn't he step up to the podium, Percy? Because he had the FBI jacket on. She had this BAU jacket on. When she came up, I was like, what the fuck is BAU? I looked at her, the clothes she was wearing, I could see clearly she's not in an FBI jacket. Well, I had to do some research on that, and turns out, come to find out, BAU is a completely separate department of the FBI that handles behavior analysis or criminal behavior analysis. They're part of, one of their jobs is to be part of the FBI's critical incident response team based out of Quantico, Virginia. And they are basically analysts and advisors. These are not like on the ground with boots, kick in the door, put the bad guy in handcuffs or chase him down the street, get in a gun battle with a bad guy type of field agents. Okay. These are basically analysts, crime lab, and, preparing field agents for interviews, or, creating, better tactics for training, and trying to create profiles of fugitives and terrorists and stuff. These are not like hardcore field agent types that you see in the movies. So when I looked at Alethea's background, she basically received her PhD from Duke University in chemistry, something about metabolic chemistry. And before that, she received a bachelor's degree as an undergrad undergrad at Johns Hopkins University, it became apparent to me that this woman is not a field agent. She's a fucking analyst, and at best she's like a scientist. So why the fuck was she promoted to assistant special agent in charge if she's, part of a completely different department in the FBI that, like, they're not even classified directly as like special agents. They're fucking analysts that, help the FBI with investigations. So, nobody else looked at that. They were just looking at her nose piercings. But I want to be completely fair to this woman because, I know how a lot of these Trump nut huggers can be. But that started to raise questions in my mind. Why was she at the podium? If anybody should have been at the podium, it should have been somebody that was not only involved in investigations, but somebody who had field agent experience like Percy Giles, okay? Who does come from the genre of, special agent. So it seemed like, again, like they pulled straws, they woke up or they're, jolted from whatever they were doing that night and had to come to that gathering, and he didn't want to do it. So she had to do it. Somebody has to be the face of the FBI. The big boss man ain't there. And, in almost all these cases, including the Trump assassination attempt, the school shootings in Uvalde, whenever a spokesperson for the FBI steps forward, it's almost always the chief of the bureau that has jurisdiction over that area. Okay. This was the first time where I actually saw somebody that was like a under supervisor stepping to the podium. So clearly she was not hired by the feds to do public speaking engagements, but her boss was out. Somebody had to do it. And, since she's an analyst, that's basically a behind the scenes agent, not a field agent, a person that works in the lab, a person that, basically pushes papers and looks on scans, like a computer and the internet for criminal activity. She shouldn't have been there anyway. Okay. Much less promoted, in my opinion, to assistant special agent in charge. I'm just hoping that this is not a case, although there are some indicators that she is a DEI hire, like I guess that's the new thing to say, DEI hire, like the crackers claim. And I'll get to that in a second. I hope this is more of a case that, she led some investigations for the feds that, and they were successful in criminal convictions or creating, like preemptive or measures that helped, like stop criminal incidents from happening. Maybe she had some success in criminal investigations that made them think, hey, she's a leader, she's smart, she's useful. And so even though she's an analyst and not a field agent, we're going to go ahead and give her a top level supervisory position, as opposed to, she's black, she was a welfare recipient in college, and we'll get to that, all that stuff in a minute. And she was on some of these woke diversity boards at Duke University. And so, we want to look good in front of the people of New Orleans. So, we want to have mostly black leadership, since New Orleans, has a predominantly black leadership anyway. So we're going to go ahead and just elevate her since she's a black female and she has this PhD. I hope it wasn't that, because listen, y'all have heard me and several other people that aren't racially biased say that this whole feminist utopia foolishness of hiring people based on gender and race, it really is destroying the fabric of what used to be customer service. And I'm talking about from, the postal service up to the Secret Service. People saying that they're calling her DEI just because she's a black woman. Forget, they were saying the same thing about that white bitch that was head of the Secret Service when Trump almost got his fucking head blown off. So is there some racism there? Yeah, but there's a lot of truth to it as well. I don't know if she was qualified to be in the role that she's in. You know, she like I said, she was a PhD graduate from Duke University in chemistry, but you know that again, that's more along the line of crime lab stuff. Okay, why the fuck would a BAU analyst be a spokesperson? You know, I guess the decent thing that she could have did was put a fucking FBI jacket on. I know she wants to sport, or maybe she's required or not allowed to wear an FBI jacket because she's not an FBI field agent, but I really thought that was a little weird. But looking further, digging deeper into Alethea's past, turns out that she was born in Trinidad, so she is a Caribbean nigger. She was raised in Miami. After going to Johns Hopkins University and graduating with a bachelor's, not only did she go to Duke and spend 5 years there pursuing her PhD in chemistry, but she also, and this is the part that worries me a little bit, she also was president of something called the GPSC, which is basically a student union organization at Duke University. And by her own admission, she focused, as student union president, she focused on creating programs and marketing programs to the diverse body of Duke University, primarily students that had families and children. And what I took, she was a fierce advocate for students that had children at home. And what I picked up from that was that she was basically advocating for single mothers that are going to Duke University, and they made this poor choice of having children out of wedlock, but they still want to go and get their education. But now things are more difficult because they made this poor choice, but they don't want this choice that they made in life. They don't want to have to live up to taking the full accountability and responsibility for making this poor choice. So they put these people like Alethea Duncan in these liberal positions to, push this whole black girl magic myth, to these types, and the white ones too, that, fuck up like that, so that they don't have to live with the consequences of the shit choices that they made in life. So that later on, once they graduate, they can come out, lying to themselves and everybody else, that they're some type of boss queen because they graduated. But what they won't tell you is that they had a lot of fucking help, some of which they didn't fucking deserve, and some of which they didn't utilize properly. Okay. They didn't just get there by their fucking self. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these fucking universities turn a blind eye while people are, cheating on exams for them. Okay. But nonetheless, she was basically a liberal student body president that advocated for single mothers that were, pursuing their graduate degrees or whatever the fuck. And from there, she became a candidate at Duke University for a even larger program that they had for student representation, where she was trying to become what they call a young trustee, which is basically a age-based selection pick of a trustee that sits on a major university like Duke's board, amongst all the old farts that have been there for 50 years, and keys in what is going on in her neck of the woods with the younger generation. And she or he is supposed to be pivotal in making decisions for the university, including voting on certain referendums or whatever, and writing certain policies for students, and approving certain budgets for this, that, or the other. But there's basically supposed to give a young liberal face to the university's board of trustees. And so she was a candidate for that, but I didn't see anything else. So I guess maybe she came up short. She was one of 3 candidates for that. Right after she was president of the GSDP, or whatever the fuck you call it. Also, when she went to Duke University, and I think this was true at Johns Hopkins University as well, she was what they call a bonding graduate student. I had to look that up because I hadn't heard that term before. But what that basically meant was that she received government grants, which means that she received welfare to go to school. And what bonding means is they give you a grant to go to school to pursue your field of endeavor, but in exchange, you have to agree to work in a certain field when you get out of school, in order to honor the funds that they give you. So, being from Trinidad, I don't know what her parents plural or parent singular's background was, but I have to assume that she came from a poor or under middle class upbringing. And listen, I'm not against students being helped. I'm certainly not against black people getting their education, but I greatly caution black people, and I have for years, about being so quick to try to enter. I know a lot of you niggas are obsessed with this, both male and female. You're obsessed with this idea that if you intermingle in white spaces, and especially if you get some type of status in the greater white supremacist system, that somehow you're going to be looked upon as, just a human being and not a black person. But what Alethea Duncan unfortunately is finding out is the same thing Tiger Woods and a lot of niggas find out when, they try to separate themselves from their blackness. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's what she was doing, but, I noticed, kind of that little fake Valley Girl accent thing going on. She probably has that mentality that she's better than other niggas, especially considering who she works for. A lot of people, some of the liberal people online, they pointed out the fact that she got dissed by Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, or whatever the fuck was his name, John Kennedy, something. Senator Kennedy, no relation to to John F. Kennedy, I don't believe, but Senator Kennedy of Louisiana at a second press conference that she held, where she basically contradicted what she said in the first press conference, where she said it wasn't a terrorist attack, but they found IEDs, and she turned around and said it was being investigated as a terrorist attack, and that they don't believe that the suspect, Shamsuddin Jabbar, acted alone. Though later on down the line, it turns out that the FBI contradicted her once again. That was 2 false statements that she made, because they later determined that he did act alone. I mean, if you're going on the record, of course she fucked up, because her own bosses, the people who employ her, they wouldn't respond to a request from the New York Post or Washington Post or something that contacted them and asked if she would be disciplined for, saying contradicting things like he didn't act alone, or that it wasn't a terrorist attack, or wearing a nose ring. But at the same time, 3 press conferences into this, they completely replaced her, like with the real Slim Shady "Please Stand Up" by FBI official that they brought all the way out from Washington, the assistant director of their counterterrorism division or something, this Christopher Rea guy. And he basically superseded her in speaking to the press, and you could see her barely in that third press conference. In the background, you could barely see her head sticking up. It's, you know, it's her city, where you know she works, and she was the highest. Her and the other two assistant directors of their New Orleans office were the highest ranking FBI officials there, but they basically just set her ass the fuck down and brought some guy, a fucking outsider, to speak to the press. So it's obvious that they were somewhat embarrassed or wanted to hurry up and, you know, kind of push her to the background before she could cause any, you know, further embarrassment for them. And then finally in the fourth press conference, I don't know where the fuck that nigga was. He must have been in the North Pole or on the other side of planet Earth. Like I said, her boss, he finally shows up after like 5 or 6 fucking days, and he's in the fourth and final press conference that the FBI holds. The Lionel guy, he finally shows up looking tired as hell, like he don't really want to fucking be there. So she obviously embarrassed the Bureau to some extent. I don't think she did it intentionally. I really think she just tripped over her words, and, you know, she didn't expect to be put in that position. But yeah, they obviously did not like the way she performed, which is why she was not there in every press conference. Like, if you remember during the Boston bombings, the FBI agent in charge there in Boston, he was there at like every fucking press conference, and they must have done like half a dozen fucking press conferences. So they set her down as a fake Slim Shady real fucking quick, as quickly as they could. As soon as they could get that motherfucker on that plane and out to New Orleans, she was done, put in the background. The fourth press conference, she wasn't even there. So yeah, I don't know what that means. Do I think they're gonna fire her over that? Probably not. Will she be disciplined? Probably not. She'll probably get a stern talking to, and that's about it. But yeah. But at that second press conference, when she was still standing in front of the podium, Senator Kennedy basically punked her while talking to some reporters and kind of like nudged her out of the way, you know, like she was just basically nothing. And somebody pulled her to the back. You could tell she didn't want to she wanted to stand her ground. But at the end, you know, she kind of, I mean, you know, he's bigger than her, and, you know, she kind of probably didn't want to make a scene. So she backed off, but you could tell that she didn't like it. And, you know, at that point, you know, she had already fucked up a couple of times anyway, but still, there's a certain thing called mutual respect. And you could see this old cracker clearly didn't have no fucking respect for her. So, you know, she kind of, if she hadn't found out already, you know, I'm sure there's microaggressions thrown at her on the job every now and then. But if she didn't find out already, she found out right then and there that, you know, there is still a color hierarchy, okay? And it's just like Denzel Washington's character said. You can march like the white man, you can talk like him, eat his food, wear his clothes, wear his suits, but at the end of the day, you ain't never gonna be nothing to him but an ugly ass chimp in a blue suit. Y'all remember when Denzel said that in the movie Glory to that other dude? These niggas, they getting their... She definitely got her nigga wake up call, okay, in more ways than one. Cause like, did she fuck up? Yes. Should she be in the role that she's in? Should she have been publicly speaking? No. Should she have been the one up there instead of Percy Giles to represent the feds at that time? No. Was she hired more because of the color of her skin instead of her individual achievements? It's hard to say, but considering the liberal leadership role she led in college, you know, and, you know, how she was emphasizing diversity during her tenure, probably yes. She was also a member of this other group called the SMDP, based out of San Diego, that is a one-year mentoring program for, quote, ethnically diverse groups and individuals seeking their PhDs in biochemistry, or fields related to medicine. And so it looks like she basically kind of piggybacked off of a lot of welfare and liberally funded diversity programs to get through college. Maybe if she has, pay her student loans off. I don't know. And, you know, she seemed to rub off well on people at these universities that are almost all liberal. And they elevated her to leadership status. And when she applied at the FBI, whether she was qualified to join the Bureau in their BAU program or not, they saw that. And, you know, there is a possibility that they thought, okay, she's definitely a candidate to meet that diversity quota. And so, you know, she's smart and educated enough. You know, we can bring her in without making ourselves look too dumb. So that's what they did. Of course, that kind of seems to have backfired on them, but you know, it is what it is. So, you know, I'm not going to go too hard in the paint. You notice I haven't gone too hard in the paint on this woman because there's no indication that she has children out of wedlock. She is educated. She has a PhD. Apparently she's a biochemist, or at least that's what she went to school for. But, you know, I do kind of question if, you know, she was unfortunately not only a DEI hire, but if she was, you know, DEI promoted, or did she actually do something in her role as a FBI analyst to be deserving of that promotion to assistant special agent in charge. So yeah, as far as that's concerned, all I can say is, again, I think, and I've said this before, I think that society is too heavily focused on what looks good in front of the camera and impressing the woke crowd, which is what incidentally got Kamala fucking and the Democrats creamed at last year's elections, instead of focusing on, you know, who's qualified and what is best for society, the country as a whole, and the individual on a, you know, solo basis as far as safety and security and health is concerned. And that is unfortunately driving society into the ground. On the other hand, I caution all black people that have this Oreo cookie bed bucking mentality. And, you know, I don't know, you know, what her sexual orientation is, or, you know, who she may or may not be dealing with in her personal life. But I caution all black people who think that you're going to get, you know, you may get a pat on the back, but to think you're going to win extra brownie points and that you're going to have some type of fucking come up in life because, you know, you're with Whitey and you're impressing Whitey and kissing Whitey's ass and joining his team, that's not going to get you anywhere in life, okay, in the long term. It may get you somewhere short term, but I mean, that's like a fucking porn star that sucks and rides dick for a living. I mean, in the end, most of them retire homeless and penniless, okay? It may be good and glamorous at the time, but in the long run, you're going to come up short. And in some of your cases, big short, you know. That's why, you know, when the feds, when they tried to recruit me to be one of their informants, I told them, no, I'm solo. It's not just y'all. I don't join anybody's team. I'm not, you know, my own family can hardly get me to come out and do shit, okay? I'm not on anybody's team but Brian Solange's fucking team. Because I know, and as I've learned, even over the course of the last year, you know, having to do little jobs, skirmishes with these little dead-end jobs here and there. Like, people, as soon as they get the opportunity, you know, they'll draw you in, smile in your face, you know, act like they're on your side, pat you on the back, have a friendly conversation with you. But when it suits their best interest, that some, not all people are like this, but some people will stab you in the fucking back or straight diss you as soon as they get the chance, or as soon as they feel like it serves their best interest. Like if it comes between you or them, Their ass or your ass is going to be your ass. Okay? And that very same person that you thought was your fucking friend will they'll straight shit on you. And they'll do it in front of other people. I've personally witnessed this and have experienced this, which is why, another reason besides these stupid ass bitches out here, why I have the Marlboro Man mentality. Fuck these motherfuckers. You don't owe them a goddamn fucking thing. Okay? But a foot up their ass if they get too fucking close to you. So, again, lone wolfism in the non-violent sense of that figurative term does have its advantages if you're an individual thinker like myself. And one of the reasons why I make sure I am a lot more cautious about jumping on board with anything that white folks or racist white folks say is because a lot of times they contradict themselves, even if they're telling the fucking truth, and there's a lot of them nowadays are so transfixed with this, Trump bandwagon that, they're tripping over their own stupidity while talking, not even realizing that, they're being fucking hypocrites by making statements that contradict themselves. For example, trashing the FBI simply because of this chick, Alethea Duncan, that may or may not have been qualified to be in the position that she was in, is one thing. But when you turn around and you endorse this Kash Patel character that I keep hearing about, that, is supposedly Trump's pick to replace the acting FBI director, Christopher Wray, you contradict yourself, because Kash Patel, I don't know if these honkies have noticed, but he's not an Aryan white man like Donald Trump or some fucking body. He's a fucking Hindu. He's a fucking dark-skinned Indian. He's basically a black man who is from the Far East, okay? He may kiss Trump's ass and lick his balls, but that doesn't mean that, that he's somehow going to help, Donald Trump restore the level of white supremacy that a lot of these crackers want. I mean, okay, she fucked up, but if you're trashing her just on the basis of the color of her skin, what the fuck do you call Kash Patel, who's almost just as black? So that's why it's a little hard to take these motherfuckers serious, and why I'm not saying that they don't raise legitimate points, but I always make sure to separate myself from that and do my own research before I, jump on any bandwagon that they're fucking riding or driving. Because, I notice a certain level of ignorance in them that is almost reflective of the niggas that they complain about. And one of the things is contradicting themselves, saying one thing at one point and then smashing into it head on by stating another point that completely contradicts another. So, yeah. Anyway, so there's that. And that kind of brings me into, the broader aspect of, people talk about, the FBI and other local officials contradicting themselves. This Grandma Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies looking old ass white bitch that's the police chief of New Orleans. She's refusing to take questions as to why they didn't have better security measures. Why the bollards weren't up on Bourbon Street that could have stopped a pickup truck, and she's passing it off on, well, the terrorists was gonna find a way to create carnage, and you can't stop everything, and she just feels like she's so just in not taking responsibility for shit, and the mayor making a stupid ass excuse that the ballots weren't up because they were in completion. And you just got to understand, these people will literally tell you fucking any stupid ass fucking thing to get their ass off the hook. Okay, you idiots go to the polls year after year and you vote for people. You basically help hire people to advance their life, to put money in their pocket, to put food on the table of them and their families, to give them this this, almost unlimited control and power over you and your neighbors and your district that don't know anything about you. You think you do because you believe that shit that they say in a commercial or on a soapbox or what becomes viral on social media. But you don't know anything to the extent that you need to know about somebody that you casting a ballot for about these people. They don't care anything about you. A lot of them have never seen you. Okay? And you are really ignorant enough to believe that if you go and cast a fucking vote for somebody, that somehow that's going to make your life better just because a Democrat or a fucking Republican is in office. This is why I said I long ago adopted the original concept of anarchy before the term became demonized as some extremist, terroristic ideology. Okay? That human beings, real, sensible, civilized human beings, do not need a centralized government to govern them. Okay? Maybe something at a local level. But I have always been a proponent for having a referendum-based system where the populace votes for any rule or law. Okay? At different levels. Whether it's local, if it's like some local ordinance for a town or a city, okay? Instead of having, a handful full of rich and powerful asswipes in suits, ties, and dresses, representing 100,000 people at a time, you have everybody in that city or town, instead of voting for some fucking asswipe that they don't know, that ain't gonna do nothing but lie from them, steal from them, and cheat the system. You vote on the law itself, okay? And if the vote, depending on which way the vote sways, that may or may not become the law of the land, okay? Anybody should be able to propose legislation, not just these idiots that y'all hire, okay? And then it goes through a preliminary vote where if it gets enough signatures, then it becomes big enough where you can hold a referendum vote, okay, to see if it can become law or ordinance, and so on and so forth up the chain, all the way up to the national level, okay? Has anybody ever asked themselves this? Why are human beings, whether you're talking about all this gossiping with these celebrities that people pay millions of dollars to just because they have, pictures taken of them by the paparazzi whose lives in a lot of cases are just as messed up and twisted and degenerate as a lot of these, as a lot of regular people, or these fucking fake ass politicians that do nothing but lie, steal, and cheat from motherfuckers. Lining their own fucking pockets like one of the last, like the Katrina mayor that they had. That asshole that they caught stealing funds from the city and threw his ass in prison. Why do human beings have this preoccupation with this need for a leader? I never did understand that. Could somebody explain that shit to me? How do y'all feel? I have never once in my life ever felt like I needed anybody to lead me to do any fucking thing. I have never ever once in my life felt like I need to be a part of anybody's team or clique. When I go to work, when I'm running business errands, when I'm on the internet, whatever, okay? I've never, even back, when that whole red pill, black pill bullshit was going on. You notice I was the only person that branched off from that MGTOW shit that later got misconstrued and fucked up by simps and bitches infiltrated it. And I created my own subversion of MGTOW called Marlboro Man. I've never wanted to be a part of anybody's group because I know when you get involved with other people, and I learned this the hard way, okay? I actually take that back. There were a few times when I tried to be part of somebody's group, and it backfired on me. When I took over the reins of FS Avenger, I thought black men genuinely, I thought they wanted a video sharing platform where they could freely express themselves. I had to drag people, kicking and screaming, some of them. I had to beg y'all like a fucking homeless person almost every day to donate to the fucking platform. And that was just to keep the light bills on. That wasn't for upgrades like live streaming. And then we know how in the end that all blew up in my fucking face. Okay? Before that, after Cynthia G and friends, Simone 5 Tricks with her ugly ass, when they created that hit list of black male social content creators on Facebook and went to going after our channels. I tried to unify black men, including Angry Man with his fake ass and other niggas. I tried to unify them against this feminist extremism movement and tried to retaliate and let them know that if they're going to fuck with us, we're going to fuck with them. I got cooperation, I got 80% cooperation for 2 days. And then things went back to the way they were. Had people like O'Shea Duke Laxon talking shit behind my back. And all I'm trying to do is help black men. They saw that going against the black bitches that were coming after their channels was going to be more of a detriment for them financially than a benefit. And they turned tail and ran. Okay. So since then, man, that and about a decade ago when I tried to organize some young black people in my local community to, organize and create a group to, help black people, when that blew up in my face too. After a while, I realized, man, niggas, they don't want help. Okay. They want to be stupid. So I don't even waste my time. I don't even waste my time with that shit anymore. I'm about me, myself, and me. Okay? Because I see if niggas wanted help, if they wanted to advance past the rutless existence that they have now, with the spending power that we have, with where we are embedded even, yes, in the white supremacist structure, that would have happened a long time ago. Niggas in general are okay with being low level, shit end of the stick, mediocre ass niggas lapping up at the slave master's table. Okay? So I'm not gonna waste any more of my fucking time. And I know I deviated a bit, but that feeds into my mentality of why I don't need a centralized government to tell me any fucking thing. Why are we even trusting these assholes? These are the same fucking dickheads that want to shove a needle by force of losing your job in everybody's fucking arm. And if they had the manpower to break down your door and hold you down and put that shit in your arm, they would have. Why are we trusting these people? Okay? They get in front of a fucking press conference and give some bullshit ass claim that it was an isolated incident and they got things under control. And just like in the Beltway sniper case, when that dumb fucking Sheriff Moose, or whatever the fuck his name was, when he came on that press conference talking about children are safe, what did the snipers do? The very next day, they shot a kid outside of a school. Just to prove these motherfuckers can't protect you and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're just talking out of the right and left sides of their ass. You really think, and that right there is just an indicator, okay? Even worse than the bloopers that the FBI bitch made. Alethea Duncan. When the mayor and that Grandma Clampett old white bitch that they got as a true DEI hire of their police chief who can't hold down a job longer than 5 fucking years. She's been fired from multiple different agencies, okay? Including out of Oakland. They fired her ass only 3 or 4 years after hiring her. And a couple of years ago, she actually ran over and hit some people not too long after being promoted to New Orleans police chief. Her and that stupid ass mayor was bragging about how New Orleans has hosted so many events safely, and New Orleans is one of the safest cities on earth because they've proven that they can host the most the most events without, having anything devious happening, and they were using that as some indicator of how good of a job they do. No, you stupid fuck. No. If you believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. What it is nobody until this motherfucker on January 1st has really tried to do anything. Do you really actually think that if somebody put on a fucking bomb or walked with a concealed assault weapon to Bourbon Street, even right the fuck now, they may be able to stop cars, but do you really think if somebody had ill intent in their head that they couldn't go on to Bourbon Street and do exactly what he did, or worse, right now as we fucking speak? No. See, these official asswipes, they create this mythology. They create this mythology in y'all stupid ass head that they have everything under control, when they couldn't even protect their own fucking U.S. Capitol government building, like the second most important building in the entire federal government. They couldn't protect a former president of the United States in Donald Trump and an acting president of the United States when he was president in Ronald Reagan from getting shot. They can't even protect themselves. How many cops be getting shot and senators and House of Representative motherfuckers be getting shot at, getting their houses broken into, motherfuckers hitting them upside the head with a hammer and shit? These motherfuckers are full of shit. They can't do anything for you. Stop listening to them. Stop voting for them. Vote for yourself. You know what we need to do? It'll never happen because there's short of a coup d'etat, it'll never happen because there's too much money and power wrapped up in Washington. But what we need to do is we need to introduce legislation, okay? Or file a suit against the government to get rid of the federal government. That's what we need to do. And we need to replace it with a referendum-based system. Okay? As I said before, that's what needs to happen. But again, this isn't my world. This is this world. So I'm just telling y'all the facts, whether motherfuckers want to hear them or not. And so that leads us finally to our suspect, the New Orleans truck attack killer, Shamsuddin Jabbar. 42 years old, former U.S. Army veteran. He was an HR, a human resources, and an information technology specialist in the Army. He did a tour in Afghanistan, I think all the way back in 2009 through 2010. He was described by his colleagues and his supervisors as a model soldier. Seemed like a relatively handsome guy. He was born into a Muslim family by his own admission out of Beaumont, Texas. At one time after he left the Army, he was actually doing quite well for himself. He had listed on some of his taxes during a legal proceeding related to a divorce. One of his 3 divorces that he was making upwards of $7,000, I think $7,700 plus dollars a month, which it would put him in the high earning category. What is that? And I'm assuming he meant gross and not net, meaning before they take taxes and other fees out. That would put him in the $90,000 salary range per year. Again, I know that's gross, not net, but even netting, after netting, he should be like $75,000. So he was doing moderately well for himself. But then something happened to him, and according to everybody that knew this gentleman, it caught them completely off guard, including his significantly younger brother that's like 18 years his younger. One of his military Bros, this bald head white dude, they said caught them completely off guard. What happened to this guy? He started to sympathize with ISIS and Muslim extremist ideology. And one thing led to another, and he devised this plan to attack America. And the way he did it was renting a Airbnb in New Orleans and renting this pickup truck that he used for the attack. And he went there with the ill intent of attacking and killing as many people as he could. And from everything that I can gather, what Shamsuddin Jabbar was trying to do, because they said a few hours prior to the attack, he had planted explosives, IEDs, inside of coolers in 2 different places along the French Quarter outside of Bourbon Street. I get a sense that his initial plan, because they also found a remote detonator in his truck after they pulled him out of it dead. His initial plan was to set off explosives, kind of like in the Boston Marathon bombings, but he wasn't as sophisticated as the Boston Marathon bombers. And I get a sense that he was sitting over somewhere in the pickup, and he was either too far away for the remote to signal detonate the bombs, or he just was not sophisticated enough of a bomb maker to connect them with the remote. And it was like that case in it was like that scene in that movie Munich, when the Israeli bomb maker, when he went to turn the knob on the radio control and the bomb didn't go off. And so another Israeli agent had to go in after their target with hand grenades and take him out that way because the bomb didn't go off. I'm getting the sense that that's probably the reason why he chose to mow down people in the truck, because initially he tried to set, and I haven't heard the FBI mention this, but maybe there's no way for them to know whether he tried to detonate. But you would think if he had remote controls, that probably was his initial, and he had took the time and the effort and the risk to plant these explosives, that's probably what his initial plan was. And the fact that all those cops out, in the French Quarter on the night of New Year's and New Year's Eve, and they didn't notice those coolers hanging around. It was actually other people, civilians on the street, that kind of, moved the coolers or, looked and checked them out. That's also indicative of how these people be lying about their so-called stringent security measures and you are safe. And don't you believe that shit? Don't you believe that shit? It's just like Akwesi said. If you follow a stupid motherfucker or believe something a stupid motherfucker tells you, you get fucked up in ways you can't even possibly imagine. Okay? But I think he tried to detonate those bombs. The bombs didn't go off. So he either switched to plan B, or after cursing himself in the pickup, he realized that he had to come up with an alternative plan, or all was lost. Now, I'm sure the thought may have crossed his mind that, well, maybe I'll just get out and start shooting, do an active shooter thing. But as you notice, there was a lot of cops, including from the New Orleans SWAT unit, and I think there was some SWAT units from their sheriff, their parish sheriff departments out there. So if he had got out and started shooting, he probably wouldn't have gotten far. Could he have killed as many people as he did? Yes, it's possible. But considering that there was a cop car like sitting right there at the foot of Bourbon Street, he probably wouldn't have, gotten as far killing people if he tried to do it on Bourbon Street as he did with that truck. So he probably, he seemed like a pretty intelligent guy considering, what he did for the military. And the fact that I think he graduated from Georgia State University. So I'm sure in his analysis of what plan B was going to be, he probably realized that getting out and launching a shooting attack probably wasn't going to net him the gains, so to speak, that he wanted with his little attack. So he switched to a even simpler but just as deadly form of attack that not only ISIS talks about in their handbooks, but really any dumbass can, think up and do. A car attack. It's not sophisticated. You don't have to worry about loading, reloading. You do have to worry about aiming. But, a place that crowded, during that kind of time, I mean, it's just like pulling a machine gun and mowing people down. I mean, how hard do you have to work to get victims, right? Now, I will say this. I personally believe that the death toll would have been a lot higher had he tried to carry out this attack earlier in the day. Because one thing I noticed about Bourbon Street and the French Quarter is that it was light. Even when you saw the videos of the truck barreling down Bourbon Street and people getting out of the way, it was light. It wasn't like that dude that carried out the deadliest vehicle attack of all time back in 2017 in Nice, France, during Bastille Day parades, where he murdered like 98 people with a fucking delivery truck, right? There was hardly anybody on Bourbon Street, and that's because the crowds were starting to die down, because it was 3 hours and 15 minutes, after New Year's. Had he done that at the stroke of midnight, or even had he done that, a couple of hours still into New Year's Eve before midnight, he probably would have killed 2 or 3 times as many people. Okay. So as bad as it was, it could have been a lot worse. He really attacked late, and that kind of proved, they're calling him a terrorist, but they kind of proved that he wasn't that good of a terrorist, because again, compared to, what the type of crowds that the French Quarter and Bourbon Street draws, I mean, it was nowhere near as crowded as it otherwise would be. And that's on a regular, weekend or night in the French Quarter. We're not even talking about a special day like the Sugar Bowl or the Super Bowl or New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Mardi Gras, or anything like that. So they actually kind of got off lucky. But, of course, when we analyze Shamsu, okay, and they even mention this in the news reports, okay, what drove this guy that seemed to be living a normal life, relatively handsome, young fellow, had a family, what drove him from being a military veteran, serving with honors, being honorably discharged from the military, being a high earner, what Kevin Samuels would classify as a high value man, wanting to present himself in a positive light, dressing up in a expensive blue suit, taking pictures to advertise and market himself, by all appearances being that high value man, okay, to wanting to exact some measure of revenge on a society that he felt had wronged him. What is the common denominator here? Why was he making Facebook videos on his way to New Orleans and, making his final approach to the Big Easy? And in the videos, he's talking about how he was planning to slaughter his family, assumably including one of his ex-wives, and we'll get to that in a minute. And, by drawing them into some gathering where he was going to throw a fake celebration party and then mowing them down, assumably with bullets. But at the very end, he decided, against killing them, because he wanted to make a bigger splash by carrying out this alleged terrorist attack to raise awareness or bring attention to the war between the believers and the non-believers. What radicalized this guy? Now, as the saying goes, for anybody who is naive enough to believe that Shamsu bin Jabbar carried this out because one day he just woke up and decided that he didn't like America and that, America should pay for its support of Israel and that ISIS is right and I'm a Muslim and I'm going to join the Muslim Brotherhood and, I'm going to strike at the infidel in the name of jihad while he was doing well in life. And this just came from out of buttfuck nowhere. I have a bridge in Brooklyn. Matter of fact, fuck that. I can sell you the Empire State Building for a real good price. I can give it to you for only 12% of its original value when it was built back in the 1930s. That's what I can do for you. You can't possibly be that stupid. See, when you're a human being on this wretched planet, and especially when you're a black man, you're going to have certain stressors. And a lot of those stressors in your life are going to come from other people. Now, of course, there's unforeseen things like, family emergencies like a death in the family, or, you have some type of health issue, like you find out that you have stage 3 cancer or diabetes or something, or, some unforeseen thing like a natural disaster like the wildfires that they're dealing with now out there in LA. But I would say probably somewhere between 70 to 80% of all of the problems that we have in life come as a direct or indirect result of other people who impact our life, either because of decisions that we make, or decisions that they make, or decisions that we both make. This becomes even more prevalent when you're a black man in this closet racist bullshit ass country that they call the United States of America. Okay? You go through a lot of shit as a black man, even as a black man who has your education, who, may be a high earner, what Kevin Samuels classified as a high value man. Okay? You got the pretty wife or the pretty girlfriend, even you're a celebrity. A movie star, a professional athlete, a politician. When you're a black man, this is the grim reality. When you're a black person, period, as Alethea Duncan is finding out, you're going to go through more shit simply because of the color of your skin. Yes, that is true. Okay? But also, as a black man, you're not only going to go through more shit, you're going to be tested. Okay? Now, everybody in life is tested, but there's a different type of testing for black men. And one of the testings that we go through is to see if we can control our nigger. Now, for those of you who don't understand what that is, I simply reference you to that case back when they were talking about Obama and the angry black man syndrome. Okay? Can we take a lot of shit? Can we take a lot of stress? Can we take a lot of disrespect and still make mainly white folks, but other folks too, including these black bitches, feel like we are safe to be around? Can we smile and make them still feel, like we are welcoming? Can we control our outbursts? And see, I'm not talking about these savages, these pookies out here, these drive-by shooters, as that bitch said in Boys in the Hood. I'm not talking about those types, okay? Those people, those types are more feral than they are human, okay? They react with violence, faster than a grizzly bear, fighting with another bear over a food source area like a river. Okay, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about normal, under usual circumstances, stable-minded black men. Okay, people will test your nigger, and they will not only test it because they are assholes. Yes, there's a lot of white folks and black folks and Hispanic folks. They will test your nigger to, just because they are assholes. But what I've noticed is that there are people that will test your nigger just to see if they can bring the nigger out of you. Okay? And by the nigger out of you, if you don't know what I mean, okay, I hate to really give a demonstration because it's kind of, it's like, what's up, motherfucker? Come over here, fuck with me again, bitch. Come over here, fuck with me again. I'll blow your motherfucking brains out, mother. Do you know who the fuck you fucking with, huh? You know what I got on my side, bitch? Huh? You know who you fucking with? Come over here with that shit again. I'm talking about that nigga. Not that white men obviously have their version of the nigger. Okay? But I'm talking about the one that people act like they don't fear, but they really do, because they know if you're serious and you're not just fronting, somebody's going to wind up dead. People will constantly test that side of you, okay, to see if they can get a rise out of you. Now, the question is, how does a person, and specifically a black man, control that part of him, not only at the time being, but throughout his entire fucking life, to prevent him from doing something rash that him or someone else, maybe even those within his family, are going to regret for the rest of their lives? How does he do that? There are several ways to do it. But one way I can tell you that you certainly won't ever be able to do it is by making the same mistakes that Shamsuddin Jabbar and other foolish ass black males, including some of you that are listening to me right fucking now, and some of you that be on fucking Facebook posting all this simp ass bullshit about white bitches and black bitches are doing. And that is by dealing with these hoes. Okay? Let me tell you something. Several years ago, when I was engaged to my ex, I had it in my mind that I was going to wait, because we were only together for 2 years, a little less than actually. I had it in my mind that I was going to wait to get married until I felt like she had stabilized her emotions and her mentality, her attitude towards me, for me to feel comfortable enough to make her my wife. What I now realize in hindsight is that was never ever going to happen, because she was the way she was well before she met me. Okay? See, this is what a lot of men don't realize when they deal with these bitches. Okay? And a lot of these bitches don't realize when they deal with, some of these dysfunctional and dangerous men. That person is treating you a certain way, talking to you a certain way, putting their hands on you a certain way. They didn't start acting like that just because you're there, or because y'all have some type of disagreement, or just because they were a bully. No. They've been like that well before you met them. Okay? You getting with them is not going to change that. You trying to show that you love them and care about them is not going to change that. Standing your ground in a lot of cases is not going to change that. Okay? And when it comes to a lot of these modern day bimbos, okay, men like Shamsuddin Jabbar, they just don't fucking get it. They just don't fucking get it. The dating game is a sham. Marriage is a scam. Okay? Because the modern day female, not only does she not want to play her role in a relationship, she wants your role. Period. Not in a relationship. She wants to be you. She wants to be the boss. Okay? Now I don't know the particulars of Shamsuddin Jabbar's relationships with his wives, and once they became his ex-wives, I don't know why they got divorced. But we can just assume that this angry black man who chose to act on these thoughts that a lot of people have, but choose higher paths than carrying out an act of terrorism, okay? We can only assume that he went through some of the same shit that we have all gone through with these hoes. On top of the other stressors that life presents you, not only as a human being, but as a black man. Okay? And he didn't know how to cope. We also can assume that Shamsud, while he may have been very academically competent and, militarily qualified, okay, and a high earner, he was not very smart when it came to self-preservation and personal security. Because, as you saw in the intro, this fucking dummy got married not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. That's enough to push y'all's beloved Jesus Christ over the edge with these hoes. 3 times? Nigga, I didn't get married 1 time and I knew I didn't want to be fucking with these hoes no more. 3 times. And dude, it wasn't like he waited 10 years and got with another hoe. See, this is why I'm telling y'all niggas on Facebook to keep posting this simp ass shit about bitches this and bitches that. I'm blocking you. Soon as I see that shit again, the first thing I'm gonna do is unfriend you. Don't friend me again if you're gonna keep posting that stupid shit. Because next time you do it and I see it come across my timeline, I'm blocking you. I don't want to see that shit. Okay? If you want to lap up after these fucking hoes, you shouldn't be listening to me anyway. Simp ass nigga. Okay? You shouldn't be listening to me anyway. Fuck these hoes. You know what I think. Why are you here? Why? Huh? Because I say something to rub your little ego? No. I'm not Kevin Samuels. I'm not here to rub your fucking ego. This shit is real. This is life for me. Solo. Lone wolf. I actually prefer to call myself a coyote because wolves travel in packs. I don't travel in a pack. I'm by myself. I don't need nobody else. I'm my own personal security and I'm my own personal company. Fuck the world. But see, no, you niggas, y'all want to talk that good shit, but then you want to turn around when you think ain't nobody looking and still go out to these clubs and these parties and pick up these fucking hoes, then want to turn around and bitch and moan that she doing you wrong. Oh, to the fuck well. This dummy married women every 4 years for the last 12 fucking years. Got married in 2012, got divorced in 2016. Remarried that same fucking year, 2016, broke up with that bitch 4 years later, got in another relationship in 2020. Got divorced from her. So 4 years spread apart, this dummy went back to back marrying hoes and he got the same fucking result. And see, looking at this nigga, listening to him and knowing how you niggas think, I can almost guarantee you, even though he was Muslim, clean cut guy, high earner, living in suburban Texas, I can, running his own business after he got out the military, I can almost guarantee you that this nigga, at some point, he ventured over to play in the fucking snow. Because like a lot of you dumb niggas, he thought that things was going to be better. I wish there was a way I could obtain pictures of his ex-wives. If I really want to do digging, I know I could find what some of his wives look like. And maybe I will. I assume that at least one of his wives especially since he was born as a black Muslim. I'm assuming that at least one of his wives was black, but I would not be surprised if another one of his 3 wives was white or Hispanic. I warned you niggas before, okay? The white woman, she will put on a better face. Some of them are nicer, but more of them fake at being nicer. They're able to put on a better facade than black women, but essentially they are 2 different sides of the same fucked up coin. They will take your ass, once they suck you in, once they draw you in, they will take you to the fucking cleaners, dumb nigga. Remember, again, it was white men who started the fucking MGTOW movement, at least officially. So that means that they tired of their own hoes. What made y'all think y'all was gonna go over there and somehow get something different? See, black men and white men are finding out the fucking hard way. And this was one of the last rabbit holes that I went down. Both of you niggas are finding out, the white niggas and the black niggas, both of y'all niggas are finding out the hard way. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to turn. Well, there is a way to run. There's nowhere to turn, but there is a way to run and hide. But there's no way to turn when it comes to these hoes. If you're going to deal with these hoes, you're going to go through hard knocks, nigga. Because every single one of them sees you as their competitor, not their companion. Are there exceptions to the rule? Yes. But if you hold your breath, waiting on that to find that exception to the rule, that diamond in the rough, you're going to suffocate and die before you find the bitch. Shamsuddin Jabbar had in his mind that he had money, he had his own business, he had, military experience under his belt. All he needed was a woman and children. He couldn't get that stupid ass thought out of his stupid fucking head. And he kept fucking up time after time after time. His first wife sued him multiple times. He said himself, he went through tens of thousands of dollars. He lost money both directly as a result of the divorce, and he lost money indirectly from the divorce in his business, where because of the troubles that he was having financially with hiring lawyers to fight the divorce in court, he lost $28,000 additional dollars in his little business. This man, towards the end of his life, he had to move out of his mini mansion and he had to move into a trailer in Houston. Imagine what that does to the psychology of a guy that was a high earner, a college grad, served honorably in the military, and had, a pretty significant role in the military. He, if he was in IT and HR, I'm assuming that, he was somewhat trusted, made rank, okay? Get out, clean cut guy, well spoken. He thinks he's figured life out, and then he makes the mistake of dealing with these hoes. And he doesn't learn from the first time he gets burned. And all that shit starts weighing on his brain, on top of him trying to figure out how is he going to keep from having to file for bankruptcy? How is he going to keep from getting evicted? How is he going to get to see his children? What is he going to do now that he's lost his business, or his business idea was a flop? Is he going to be homeless? Is he going to have to go back to live with his parents? Plus all the little shit that, the just the day-to-day bullshit that you have to go through as a black man, of people talking all kinds of shit to you, whether it's some road rage or you in some gas station and just running to some random asshole, routine traffic stops, all of that shit, somebody flipping you off in traffic, all of that shit compiles. People act like you're just supposed to absorb that shit and just wear it with a fucking smile. Some people can't. But see, he poured fuel on his own fucking fire. He didn't understand something that I figured out a long time ago. And I even told my parents this. Listen, I got 99 problems. But like Jay-Z, at least before he married that whole Beyonce, a bitch ain't one. Because see, what a lot of men don't understand is, we all do what we got to do to make a living. Okay? We all do what we got to do to take care of our business. But especially when you're a black man and a young black man, you got to, even if you're not a Pookie type, you got to put up with and take and absorb a lot of shit that causes you high levels of stress. Okay? But when you come home to your personal dwelling, that needs to be a place of peace where you can calm down, where you can settle down, where you can simmer down. You cannot have that peace. You cannot have that refuge. Okay? You cannot have that safe space to wind down after a long day or a long week of stress. We're dealing with the world's problems, the problems, your personal problems, random asshole encounters. You cannot have that place of peace if you constantly have a bitch in your face, in your personal space, giving you all kinds of hell. I made a quick decision because I knew. I said, there's no way I can deal with this. This will be just enough to push me over the fucking edge. You can call it incel, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Okay? I got to have my peace and I got to have my space because it is the only thing that's helping me stay on this side of fucking sanity. Okay? When you put yourself in that situation where you come from stress at work, stress from paying bills, stress from dealing with random idiots out on the streets, stress from your boss, stress from all this shit going on in the world that affects you directly or indirectly, and then you got to come home to some stupid nagging ass bitch that wants to, act like she owns or runs a house that may or may not even be cheating on your ass too. You're setting yourself up for failure and disaster, my friend. You're setting yourself up for it. Now, this does not go for men who are into that cheating game themselves or who are by default abusers and users. I'm talking about, men who genuinely are doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing. They're abiding by the law. They're working a job. They're trying to support, a family or take care of their kids. Okay? You bring that woman in, unless she's one of those diamonds in the rough, she becomes that extra stressor. She does, whether you want to hear it or not. And you can't say that what I'm saying is grabbing at straws. That extra stressor will be just enough to push a motherfucker over that edge. Especially if he keeps dealing with these hoes one after the other. Because every day, and if you don't believe me, if you haven't seen it yourself, go to gunmemorial.org. Every fucking day. Literally, like a third of the gun homicide cases are cases of men murdering their significant other, spouse, or girlfriend or ex, and killing themselves, or wiping out their families and killing themselves, or killing their girlfriend and wife or ex and trying to get away. You hear these cases 2 or 3 times a week. It's almost, it's eerie. It's like the scamdemic, how frequent this is happening, and these are increasing. They're on the rise. Again, Shamsud himself said that he contemplated killing this bitch and assumably his children, and I guess after that he was going to kill himself. But he decided against it. He claimed because he wanted to impress ISIS, but I honestly think that he just wanted to show the world his anger. He wanted to express that side of him that had been being stressed and pressed for so fucking long. And he decided that he was wanting to go out in a blaze of glory, but killing his family was only going to make local headlines. So he decided to take it to another bigger level. Okay? I'm trying to tell you, She is your enemy. Stop dealing with her. Find a alternative way to live. None of you would be here listening to me right now if you had not had problems with these bitches in the past or currently. You're only here because of that. But I know that a lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you, you don't want to let go of that poontang. You don't want to let go of that pussy. But if you're going to have peace in your fucking life, you're going to have to. It's just like a person that's been eating fat, salt, and sugar all of their fucking life, and then find out they're one step away from or already have cardiovascular disease or diabetes. In order to live, in order to try to regain their health, they're going to have to go on a diet. They're going to have to damn near become a vegetarian. They're going to have to eat a balanced meal every day and take pills or else. Now that person has a decision to make. Do I want to live or do I want to die? Do I want to be healthy or do I want to be a miserable fuck until this shit finally causes me to implode and my organs to fail? What is my decision? You niggas have a decision to make. Stop letting these hoes stress you the fuck out. This nigga didn't fucking get it. 3 times married. His first wife, not his third wife. His first wife. This bitch took his ass to the cleaners. And while he's dealing with this hoe, giving him hell, he's dumb enough to go and marry a second hoe and a third hoe. He had in his mind a certain way that a woman should be, in a certain way that life should be, and it fucking failed him. When it fucking failed him, when he realized at the end that these bitches were his enemy, along with American society is his enemy as a black man, he couldn't find a way to cope the way I did. And a lot of you smart, more intelligent brothers did. And he fucking snapped. Don't let this be you, black man. This is why I always fucking laugh when people talk about, I'm an incel or I'm dangerous or I'm a risk to women or not. No, motherfucker, I'm none of that. I'm none of that. Because I'm not around none of you bitch ass motherfuckers. I don't celebrate your holidays. I don't vote for your politicians. I don't fucking date your whores. I don't deal with none of that shit. I'm too away from you. I'm too isolated to want to be around your punk ass. Any of you. Male or female, black or white. Fuck you. Fuck your Christmas. Fuck your New Year's. Fuck your bitches. Fuck everything. I am me, and I am alone, and I am okay with that. Because as I said before, there is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Being lonely is a state of mind. Being alone is a state of being. I am alone, but I am not lonely. I am not lonely because I have so many other things, including my business, to occupy my mind space, that I don't have to be preoccupied with a bitch. Additionally, I have learned that beauty is only skin deep. One of the things that I am grateful for now, 5 years after buying my first female doll replica, is that I have these things that sit in my living room, dolled up, all day, every day. They don't move, they don't say anything. I look at them, and yeah, they're pretty, but they also remind me of something else. Because half the time I'll look at them, or don't look at them, and I won't think anything of it. I realize when you look at them long enough, they're no big deal. They're just like a water bottle sitting on the fucking table. Men lose their mind, they kill other men, they kill bitches, they kill themselves, they lose money, they lose status, they go get thrown in jail like P. Diddy and R. Kelly over these whores that are nothing but aesthetics in a lot of cases. A lot of these bitches, unlike Alethea Duncan, and Chesley Chris, they bring nothing to the fucking table but what they look like. And when you look at them long enough, if you can get one of them hoes to shut the fuck up and stand still long enough, you will see that they are nothing special. You have a false perception in your mind about what the human female is. She's mostly for reproductive purposes. Not much else, unless she has some type of specialty under her belt. But if you want peace, you cannot deal with the modern day female, at least not in the way that y'all are dealing with them. If you do, it's like eating candy all day. You will suffer. And that's all I have to say. Let Shamsuddin Jabbar and his inability to cope with being married and divorced 3 times over a span of 4 years apiece and getting sued to high hell where he lost everything to the point where he was living in a fucking trailer, and now all of a sudden, oh, I want to be a terrorist, I want to join ISIS, I want to take my bad choices in life out on the rest of the world. Let his stupid, foolish choices to keep dealing with these hoes be a painful reminder to the rest of you niggas of what happens when you put yourself in that situation. Now, YouTube can go ahead and pull this video down. That's fine, but it's going up on every platform that I'm involved in, including Patreon. Thanks so much for listening, and talk to you later, guys.
Don't fuck these hoes, only go with shorty. Smoking on the 23, I'm chilling with my guardians. Run around the galaxy, they're jealous of my cardigan. No, come and try me, yo, we solving shit. Put the drink up in his mouth, he acting like he heaven sent. Make a bitch up in the head, you know I made him reminisce. Smoking on the devil food and put you up in the abyss. And I'm not gonna lie, rapping on the speed is pretty sick, it's like I'm finna die. Shout out to my niggas and KM, they like my family ties. And if you talking down the chopper, taking up both of your eyes, yeah. While I'm sipping on the willy one in the drop top of the spot under the spotlight. And she missing me to the same, next time it's on site. Rapping took me days to attain and now they wanna pipe you up. And I'm chilling with the boys now, 12 AM we kick it back and take a trip to A-Town. Driving in the range, I'll pick it straight then back to K-Town. Shoot the towers all in one, they gun the fucking pussy down. I've been in trouble ever since I set the fucking bags down. Yeah, since I set the fucking bags down. Since I set the fucking bags down. Hey, look, listen, hey, 400 on the dash, bitch, I'm running it up. And you a fan, I'll catch you like a G, I'm counting the bucks. Everybody wanna talk and groupies all on my nuts. I started rapping like today, man, I just do it for fun. Brody got the walkie-walkie, know I break double cups. And if you try to stop the song, boy, I'ma give you the nuts. And the party looking cool until this boy wanna start. I put him in his place, shit happens, but you